At this point, it's now my pleasure to introduce our Penfield Town Supervisor, Tony LaFountain, and Jim Costello, not sure who's going first, the Director of Development Services. Our chamber's fortunate to have the ongoing support and partnership that both Tony and Jim have provided for over the years. I would also like to take a moment to congratulate Tony for his upcoming retirement. I know that Jim's been retired for a while, but he's still involved, so.
Go right ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. They were just talking, Amy mentioned that Sarah was a founding member, and I cannot believe it's been this many years, but Sarah, first thing she did was to grab me and say, would you come and speak at one of our meetings? And it was like the first annual meeting I think you had. I can't believe it's been that many years, but we're still here, and hopefully it'll be a long, Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's good to see everybody again. As you know, I work with a lot of you for various different reasons on a regular basis, so it's always good to see you all. And I just respect everything you all do for this community. Without you, we wouldn't be able to do the things that we can do to make Penfield the place that we all love. So. Thanks again. What I'm going to do is we're going to go through some topics. Tony's going to speak for a minute on financial wellness in the community. We're going to talk about some of the accomplishments and projects we've been working on in 2021. We're going to then talk a little bit about the plans that are before the planning board that we anticipate will go through the approval process through 2022, early 2022. And then some projects of interest that we've all thought about over the last couple of years but haven't talked very much about. And then some status of new plans and legislation, which is kind of interesting this particular year versus other years. And then questions and answers. And I think if you want to jump in, if you have any questions as we're going through it, you can do that. But if you can hold off, that'd be great too. So you want to move to the next screen? Or you want me to do it? You could do it. I don't have a... Where's the clicker? Oh, there's the clicker. Excuse me. I've done this once or twice. I can't believe I can remember that. Oh, maybe. Here we go. All right. So, Tony, I'm going to let you step in and talk a little bit about financial wellness.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you, Jim. And thank you for the opportunity to allow us to come and speak to the business chamber. I think it's important that folks understand how well or not the town might be doing. And I will tell you that we are very, very great shape here from a town. And I'd like to recognize our town board. Linda Cole is here today, but the rest of the board members, Andy Moore, Debbie Draw, Bob Ockington, without them, we wouldn't be where we are today. And I want to just give a shout out for the board because it truly is a team effort. So our adopted budget for this year is $20.6 million. As we take a look at the budget we just recently adopted that will take effect January 1st, we're at 21.7. We're up a bit. However, the board wanted to make sure that we were not raising taxes. So our tax rate for 2022 will be, in fact, the same as it has been, which is $2.78 per thousand. And the board for 2021 and 2022 took into account COVID and the impact on COVID and the ripple effect that that has had. And even though we're starting to get back to normal, our revenues are getting back to normal, it was important that from the board standpoint that we kept our tax rate flat. We are the 5th lowest tax rate across the county, and we're very proud of that. We do have one community that has no tax rate, and because they have a landfill in their community, that landfill covers all of their taxes and a little bit more. We're under the state tax cap. That's always an important thing for the various agencies, whether it be the town, the school district, fire districts, and other special districts. That really is a key to stay under that tax cap. And we received a no designation. So within the no designation by the state, you can creep up into the 10 to 15 to 20% before you really get to any type of a problem. I'm happy to report that Penfield is one of the lowest in New York State at a 0.0. So we can't get any lower than that, but we are at 0.0, and we did achieve that for this year. So again, great effort by our team, our staff, our board overall. And our credit rating remains one of the highest in the county and New York State at AA1. So from a financial standpoint, I will say, and I'll take a chapter out of Tom's book, we are in great shape, but we always look to do better. So back to Mr. Costello.
Okay, 2021 became a very busy year for us. I was getting a little nervous as I got halfway through the summer and didn't have a lot to talk about, but it got real busy. So the town board has directed staff to work with them to come up with a plan. As you know, the town board did adopt a conceptual master plan for the Shadow Pines properties back in 2020. Since that time, they've been working on various components of the plan. Most notably and most recently, we've got there's a lot of interest in pickleball. I don't know how many pickleballers are in this room, but I'll bet there are a lot based on who we've been seeing or come to see us over the last several months. So there is a proposal right now that we've been putting together. Hopefully I can find my, there we go. There's a proposal to actually have a pickleball, actually 15 pickleball courts, if I can get my thing here. Here we go. Maybe not. There we go. So in the northeast portion of the property that's basically abutting Atlantic Avenue and Scribner Road, there is a proposal right now, a conceptual proposal to develop a 15-unit pickleball courts. In addition, there's a child play area. There's a couple of open court areas. We don't know if we're going to utilize them for basketball or tennis or whatever in the future, but they're going to remain as open court area. If we need to expand pickleball in the future, it's the opportunity to do that as well. There's an open area where kids can just go and play. They don't have to worry about organized sports. They can just take a football or something or a soccer ball and go out and play whenever they want. We have all sorts of trails that we're looking at coming through the various portions. This is Harwood Circle here. They'll be able to come in and come off of Harwood and be able to bring in that neighborhood into the site. There's a pass system that's being proposed and all sorts of other little amenities in that area. That is the area that's really been identified for active sports. A lot of the area, the rest of the areas in the property itself have been devoted to things like disc golf. There's a disc golf course being constructed out there right now. When I say constructed, I mean basically just cutting some trees here and there to allow for discs to be thrown all over the place. We're hoping that they're not going to be conflicting with walking paths, but we've been assured by the disc golf community that that's not the case. I'll have to go out and see if that truly is the case or not before too much longer. The third component is a lot of interest in mountain biking, and we've been looking at the back nine, if you will, the south portion of the property, south of Clark and Whalen. And there's a proposal to do some mountain biking in this area here. They're just putting together a plan as we speak. But we've been working with the mountain biking communities, we've been working with the disc golf communities, and the pickleball communities. And I didn't realize there were such subcultures out there, but there's a lot of interest in all three, more than I ever expected. So we've been working on that for the last several months. I believe that the disc golf course is just about ready to go other than having to put the baskets in. Again, we are working with design features for the pickleball, and then finally mountain biking will probably come along early 2022. So it's been a very interesting process with those agencies. Another part of this is the Clark House. And I think I'm going to let Tony talk a little bit about the Clark House because he's been intimately involved in the process of trying to bring it back to reality here from what it is right now. So I'll let you jump in on that one.
Thank you, Jim.
Yep.
So as folks may or may not be aware, this is a local designated historical site. So there is some sensitivity by the board to make sure we're doing the right thing for this building. Building originally constructed in the original portion in 1832, and then there has been a number of additions. So as we took a look at this site, what to do with this site, one of the concerns that the board had is that let's recognize that historic designation, but let's also understand what are the dynamics to take care of it, to fix it, to bring it back to what it was, or some other alternative to that. So the board has been working with an outside engineering group. We expect to have a report out on December 8th to give us some different options, and I'm sure associated with that will be different costs for that. And once we have that, we'll add that to our website. So anyone that has an interest in following Shadow Pines and the Clark House, you can log on at penfield.org, projects of interest, and you can follow the history of what has occurred from the time we acquired the property right up through current overall.
Oop. Don't want to do that. CCA.
The other topic that is new and probably over the last few days, if you live in Penfield, you've received a letter. If you're a small business, you've received a letter. That has it has the town's seal on it. It's my name on the back side, although it's not signed. It's it comes from the town in conjunction with Constellation Energy and with Good Energy. And CCA, Community Choice Aggregation, is an opportunity to aggregate our residents and to leverage our buying power of the commodity of electricity. And that's one of the things that we're attempting to do as we see prices go up. One of the things we wanted to do was to offer this program. Unfortunately, the way it's set up within the state, it is an opt-out. We'd like it to be an opt-in, but it's an opt-out. So everybody is in unless you elect to opt out. And I would just strongly recommend, you'll see the website penfieldcca.com, different than penfield.org, penfieldcca.com. Has all the up-to-date information on that to help you make your choice whether you want to be in the program or not. One of the things the board wanted to do is set it up so you have the opportunity that you can opt in and out without any penalties. So if you elect to opt out and you find that this is good for you as a resident or a business, you can opt back in without any type of fee or penalty associated with that. Again, more information on the website, and after this session, if anyone would like to speak in more detail, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Tony. Okay, I guess I can let you sit down if you want for a while. There's no reason to stay
I'll
here.
sit off to the side.
So we'll go through some of the fun things that occurred in Penfield. The first thing was, thank God, they finally finished the 5 Mile Line Road, Atlantic Avenue intersection. Yeah. For all of you that have had to suffer through that for the last 2 years, it's over. As a matter of fact, yesterday they activated the lighting system and they took down the old signalization, so they are just about done. The only thing that drives me nuts is you can still see that periodically some idiot will come in and drive over some newly seeded lawn area. It's one of my worst pet peeves in the world, that and people who drive over brand new striping on highways. Those two things drive me crazy. But in any event, we're happy that that's wrapped up. It actually is. It turned out really, really nicely compared to what I thought it was going to be when they were digging holes in the corner there next to that house. Oh, I'm sorry. Next to that house on the corner here. I'm surprised it stayed, but it did. So everything seems to be working perfectly, and God, we're all happy that that's over with. We were lucky in that Mrs. Carmen Bird, who owns property at 1407 5 Mile Line Road, it's a 5-acre parcel. It was actually the last remaining piece of the farmland that's surrounding everything, all the housing that's surrounding it. Her husband, Charles, who passed away in 2018, put in his will that he wanted that land to be preserved for the public in Penfield and not be developed as housing tract. She has honored that request and has offered that land to the town. The town has been working for months trying to work out certain details that had to be resolved. They have been resolved, and I believe we're going to take dedication of that land on the 3rd of December this year. We will put a sign up in his memory thanking him for his offer, and hopefully we'll be able to utilize that property for recreation purposes of some type as time goes on, but we thank her for her effort. It is amazing to me how many people do actually offer land, good land, to the town of Penfield. She had the opportunity to have that site developed. It's got all the utilities there available to it, but she decided that she wanted to have that land remain in open space, so we thank her for that. We just issued the final C of O for the Bellagio 98 unit apartment building on Empire Boulevard. It was the Daniele family's latest offering to the town of Penfield. That has been closed out, and from what I understand, it is almost fully occupied at this point in time, which really surprised me, but I guess they have filled it up, so kudos to them for that. We've got, I know we've got some Penfield Squares in here, and I know Amy probably is more intimate with that property now than I am. She's been there so often. But that project is coming to conclusion now. They've pretty much wrapped up just about everything they had to from the residential perspective. There is a 12,000 square foot commercial building here, and there's some commercial activity in here. We are currently working with Louis Ribeiro, a local businessman who's interested in installing commercial use on that site. In doing that, he's also going to be working with the planning board to create some type of mixed-use development for that piece of, or for that parcel, to include some type of housing as well as the commercial aspect. We don't know what kind of business he wants to put in there at this point in time, but he will be coming before the planning board for site plan approval some point in time in early 2022, I believe. And congratulations to everybody over there. It's a beautiful facility. You should be very proud of it. This is a picture from, this picture is from last year. This is a picture from the other day. The Rochester Regional Health finally finished up on their improvements to Penfair Plaza. They've done a nice job. They actually, I didn't realize it when they first talked about it, but they actually did reface the entire property. So there's some, and repaved, and reestablished parking in places it should be versus driving lanes. So they're all set. I was happy as going over to check out this portion of it. I was happy to see that Genesee Valley Physical Therapy is taking over the old Brugger's Bagel site. That's great. Really happy for them. I know that they're in for some approvals for some signage, and I think Mr. Goldman is actually representing them for that. No? For some reason, I thought you were. I apologize. Yeah, they'll call you today. But in any event, it's good to see that building reestablished once again. They finally did finish the Starbucks over at Parkside Commons Plaza. That opened up, I believe, in September. One coffee drinker out of everybody? Wow. Tim Hortons and Duncan will be very happy. People don't really see this very easily, but there was a very large project that was built. There's about a 32,000 square foot climate controlled storage facility right here. This was the former site of Hair Design 2000. I don't know if anybody remembers that building, but it was a disaster. It was finally sold and taken down, and a new office and apartment that oversees the entire complex was built here in the place of the old building. They did add on to some of the storage facilities that were already out there. But it's a new and improved storage facility for Penfield. I don't know, you've been watching this happen for about 2 years now. They got the approval a couple of years ago. COVID, I think, had a lot to do with it. And so this was a 30,000 square foot addition to the Delta Sonic facility on Empire Boulevard. This was totally dedicated to indoor vacuum systems. There's 40 indoor vacuum systems in there. So I guess if you don't want to get cold or wet, you can get in here and take care of all your vacuuming needs. There's a new Chipotle's being built on the former M&T Bank site on Empire Boulevard. It's just one property south of the actual intersection, the dry cleaning establishments on the north end. They had a tough time because they were having material problems. They could not get materials. It took a long time. I know they started out with steel for construction purposes, ended up with aluminum. They are finally getting to a point now where I think that they'll be able to open up shortly at the end of the year, right at the beginning of next year. That's going to be a situation we talked a little about. We're going to talk about it later. COVID really played havoc with restaurants, as you all know, and this is a new situation where everybody, all the restaurants we're talking to now, are going with double lane drives because they've got situations now where everybody wants to drive in and not walk in. This situation is you will call in your order, and then when you get there, they will actually pick up your phone, knowing where you are, and they'll be able to be ready for you to pick up as soon as you drive in. So it's going to be an interesting process. It's called Chipotle, not Chipotle. So We just got through the process of approving a Burger King. This Burger King is on the east side of Route 250. Moe's and a couple of others are out just to the south. And there's a car wash to the north. That was approved by the board in 2020, actually, and they came back and they wanted to revise the design, the exterior design. And the exterior design was basically cheapened down a little bit from what the original was, and the board said, we'll give you an option to come back with a third design that incorporates both. And they said, better off just to go with the original, so they did go with the original, and it's now under construction. And they're having difficulties, not so much in materials for the building, but actually getting materials for the utilities, manholes, piping, that kind of thing. So it's a far-reaching process throughout the entire community as to what's going on with what happened to COVID. There's a new urgent care being built at 2070 Empire Boulevard. That's the site of the former Tom Wall's restaurant. They're having the same problem. As you can see, this is one of my most boring slides, and I apologize for it. But there's not much you can do when there's nothing there to work with. But they are putting some steel up right now, and they're having a tough time getting their materials. So it could take a while for this to happen. But that should be moving along, I would think, by mid-2022. Many of you may or may not know that the Penfield School District is looking to relocate its bus facility, its transportation facility, and they've purchased property, the portion of the old Berry Turkey Farm on Jackson Road. I believe they bought 39 acres. It was like a 46-acre parcel. Mr. Berry's keeping about 7 acres for his family to be able to build homes there when they want, but they're going to be building a new bus facility, a bus washing facility. Their office space for their staff is going to relocate there probably sometime in 2022 or 2023. They're going through the state process right now for funding and that type of thing, but that should be relocated out to that site sometime by 2023 latest, I would think. I have no idea what they're going to do with the facility on 5 Mile Line Road. They've talked about keeping that for their maintenance crews and that type of thing, for lawn mowing and that type of work. So we'll see if that actually happens or if they take the entire facility out to Jackson Road. Okay, some applications coming that have been actually before the board or are currently before the board. The first one is the Arbors. This is the property you may remember we talked about actually a couple of years ago. This is the property that Bob Morgan purchased on the northwest corner of Atlantic Avenue and Route 250. This is almost a 700-unit complex. It's a multi-phase, multi-year project. They are coming in before the planning board right now for phase 1, which is what you can see here. They own this area here, which will be a future phase. This area is a future phase, and there's actually property on the other side of 250 that they own that will be their final phase. But they're coming in right now for about 110 units, and I believe there's 22 townhouse units as well. We've been working with them now for quite some time on architectural features. They're trying to create more of like a early pioneer village type setting you can see up here. They've got some good architectural details. I think the planning board's been pretty happy so far. And they'll be moving forward with the planning board over the next several months. The former Grossman site is in the process of being purchased by Pastone and Krista Construction. They are proposing 3 buildings on that site. There's a 4-story building, a 3-story building, and a standalone building for a daycare facility. That is currently before the planning board. It's been there for some time now, Pete, I think. But you're working out some details with the planning board on design features and some access issues. But it's moving along as well, and that should be wrapping up sometime in early 2022, I would think. The third project in the mixed-use district is a property directly across the street from the intersection of the YMCA and Penn Square. This is called Penfield Heights. It's owned by the Excelsior communities they're looking to develop. Initially, they submitted a plan which did not meet our criteria for a mixed-use district. They went through the planning process, and the planning board indicated that they were not happy with the details that were left off as it related to the criteria for granting mixed-use development. And as a result, they have withdrawn, their application was actually denied. They have actually been working with Betsy Brooke, Congratulations, she has got them back online and moving forward. I think the staff has been reviewing their plans for the last several weeks, and I think we're becoming much more comfortable with what they're proposing now. So I believe that they will be going back to the planning board for site plan approval fairly soon. Projects of interest, Simply Crepes. I put that up there, that's last year's slide. I figured there's no need to change it because nothing's really happening. I did talk to the building inspector this morning though, and she indicated that she had actually bumped into one of the workers there, and I think they're trying to work out some details because of some work problems that had occurred on the site that are not up to their standards, and they're trying to get those resolved. Evidently they are going to be moving forward to try and get this wrapped up. I can't believe it's taken as long as it has, but hopefully they will get this done in early 2022. I hope my successor doesn't come up here next year with the same slide. I hope it's a different one. The Daisy Flour Mill, the town board actually approved a proposal to reopen the restaurant with a bar and a wine bar. One of the components that was brought in was that they would also allow for your dogs to go and be able to run around in a certain confined area. They were going to have doggy daycare. They were actually going to have boarding overnight as well, but if you wanted to bring your dog in and let him run while you were having dinner, you could do that. I thought it was kind of a good idea, actually, because everybody I talked to that had a dog said they were ready to go. The building does have some structural defects that have to be resolved, but unfortunately for them, they could not get the financing that they needed, and as a result, they have pulled back from the project and it's not going to go forward. The property is up for sale again. I believe it's $675,000 on the market right now, and I'm hoping somebody buys it because it does need some tender loving care, and without it, we're going to have some real problems here fairly soon. Some good news, we had some restaurants that closed either right before COVID or during COVID. Murphy's Law, Brody's on the Bay has taken their place, and they've done a great job. That's a nice restaurant. If you haven't had a chance to go down, you should go down there. They've done a nice job remodeling that building as well. The old beer garden, which was DiVincenzo's restaurants for many, many years, at 1517 Empire Boulevard. There's an application before the Zoning Board of Appeals tonight. I think it's Antonia and Alexander Pagi. They're going to be coming in for an approval to open up a restaurant there. So we're happy about that. The old Speedylicious restaurant, which was one of my personal favorites, that closed, but Firecrust Pizzeria came in and took their place. They do a great job, and they also have Pittsford ice cream, so you can't beat it. The Penfield Hots at 1794 Penfield Road, Chick Magnet took that over, and I don't have to say too much about Chick Magnet. Everybody in the world loves Chick Magnet. So. And then I just found out 2 days ago that McGregor's, there is a group called the Bar Bill. They're out of East Aurora and Clarence in that area. They are going to come in and buy that property, and they're going to come to the town board for a special permit before too much longer to open it back up again as a bar and grill. So pretty happy about that. That was about it. I mean, we've lost a couple of other restaurants that have not been filled again, but hopefully as time goes on, people will come back. So some plans and legislation that's occurred and is occurring. The Comprehensive Plan Committee update, that has been going on for a couple of years. COVID really slowed us down on that. We had a lot of people not able to attend meetings, so we are in the process right now of finalizing that plan. Unfortunately, at least one of our coworkers left town as he was working on it, and then we had some problems with some others in terms of trying to get the thing wrapped up, but we do have Doug Sangster, our town planner, who's been working feverishly trying to get this done, and hopefully we'll be able to get a document to the town board either by the end of this year or early next year so they can move through the process of adopting the new master plan or the comprehensive plan. The town board recently on the 3rd just adopted an opt-out cannabis on-site consumption local law. The state of New York gave the towns the option of allowing on-site consumption and on-site sales. We are going to allow on-site sales, but we are not going to allow on-site consumption. And I know other communities are going to do that. I think it was Penn Yan, if I'm not mistaken, Tony, that was most recently decided that they were going to allow on-site consumption. That ought to be an interesting process to see how that goes. The town board also is in the process. We've just completed a draft document to address short-term transient rental. There are people in Penfield now that are doing that. They're using VRBO or Airbnb to lease out portions of their house or all of their house. We did have a situation in town that was a kind of a sad situation where somebody passed away through an Airbnb process. We understand that there's a need for it. We understand people can benefit from that, both as owners and as travelers. But we'd like to see some type of legislation go into place that permits it through a permitting process, that we understand what their intent is and what they're trying to do with these properties. So we may be bringing that to the public, I would think, sometime in early 2022. And the town board continues to permit restaurants to install outdoor dining tents. We understand that COVID is still an issue with the public. It's becoming a big issue again all of a sudden. Our numbers are starting to go back up again as we all go back inside. We are supportive of our restaurants. We want to make sure they're successful, so we are allowing outdoor dining with tents, subject to fire marshal approval throughout the year, and probably going to go into next year as well throughout the winter months, because it's just getting a little bit tougher than we thought it was going to be. We were hoping it'd be done by now. It may never be done at the rate we're going, but we're going to support our businesses as best we can to keep them as viable as we can. We don't want to see anybody leaving town. So that's the latest and greatest. Anybody has any questions? Sarah.
What's happening with Starbucks on Penfield Road?
Starbucks on Penfield Road, nothing. Are you talking about next to Dunkin' Donuts, that site? They came in, actually they came in almost 2 years ago now. Louis Ribeiro actually owns that property, which we thought was kind of ironic that he would look at having a Starbucks next to his Dunkin' Donuts, but he was going to do that as a landowner. The problem with that property was there was no good way to have a drive-through. They were looking to take the entire front yard out and pave it and utilize it as a driving lane, which would have taken away the character of the entire area there. Everybody has a front yard, and we'd like to keep some of that green in place. So we gave them the option of looking at various different alternatives. They couldn't come back with anything that was of value to them or to the town, so they just dropped the proposal and we let it go.
So currently they're doing some remodeling, refreshing. Now that the Starbucks is open on 250, 441, they've come in and they're just trying to freshen that area up.
Right. And you know, I mean, they'd all love to have a drive-through. That was the big issue, but it's just, the site is so tight and there's just so much confusion going on out there on a day-to-day basis. To throw another thing in like that would have been a disaster for that area. So it's not going to happen anytime soon. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Okay, so Dolomite owns that house. It's privately owned. They've been leasing it out over the years for rental space. I believe they're still going to continue to do that. I mean, they've just revegetated the yard and put everything back. So I suspect that it'll be leased out. There's a house for everybody and everybody for a house.
That's where the new drive-up window will be. So if you're waiting, you can put your order ahead.
There's 13,000 parcels in Penfield, and something's happening on every one of them. You've got to have a question.
Anything on the old Cornerstone restaurant?
Well, yes, the Cornerstone restaurant was purchased by a group. Their intent was not to do anything with it right now. They tore down the building, obviously, because they were paying taxes on a building they weren't using, which I thought was a smart move on their part. They are intending to come in with some kind of a plan, I think, in the near future. I'm not quite sure what it is yet. They've talked about another restaurant. They've talked about a couple things, but I think they have to decide for themselves what's going to happen there and then come to us with a proposal. The big thing, obviously, there is traffic. I mean, moving traffic through that intersection is getting more and more difficult as time goes on, and we're going to have to look at how they're going to be able to make improvements to that driving lane area out there if they're going to come in with something. So, but something will come in there fairly soon. Yes, Paul.
Are they still looking to do a bed and breakfast in the old street?
Which one?
The old Brown Cross?
We haven't heard from them. They initially said they were going to come in for a bed and breakfast. Then they moved their family into the building, but they have not come back for anything to date that I'm aware of. They got a big family, but they're going to, I mean, if they're going to come in, they're more than welcome to do that. They can make an application to the zoning board for a conditional use permit to allow bed and breakfast, but they haven't come to us yet. They actually were going to add on to that building, believe it or not, but I guess they've dropped those plans for the time being. Tom?
Jim, there might be a question for Mike too, but any movement on the, crossing the fast track on Browncroft?
Well, I was just talking to Mike Quinn, who's been involved in that property for a while now. Actually, thanks to Mike Quinn, that building was torn down because he was the one that initiated them to do it. But I was driving through yesterday to Family First to get my ATM money and happened to notice that there was a Synergy environmental group out there who's been working on that property over the years. And they are out there today, actually, if you drive by. They were out there earlier. They are pumping some type of liquid. It looked like water, but I know it's not water. I don't really know, I don't want to know what it is, but they said that this should work and we should be done with this process fairly quickly. And if that is the case, that'd be great news, because that's the one thing that's been holding up that property. We have a lot of people interested in that property on a regular basis, but when they know that they still have to remediate that issue, they walk away. So if that does work, and we should know fairly soon, it'll take a few months, I think, for the material to do whatever it has to do, but they will be coming back and asking for a DEC sign-off for that property before too much longer. So that'd be great news. Anything else? You've been a great audience. Yes, Sarah?
Do you know when the lights can be installed at my exit?
I have no idea. I'll work on that when I retire. It'll probably be the rest of my life to get that taken care of. So.
Well, they put the pole up.
Well, they put the pole up a while back.
I'm ready. I just want to know before you two retire.
So just all kidding aside, she's referring to the intersection there at Pembroke and 250. The installation for all the utilities was put in place a while back. We required that.
Exit.
Oh, it's at your exit.
Oh, yeah, the pole's up.
Oh, that's new then. Is that brand new?
No, it's been up for about a year. That's
Well,
my exit.
are you sure it wasn't just for a street light?
I'm sure.
Oh,
It
okay.
goes across the road.
I don't think that the warrants exist yet for any kind of, although I got to tell you, it's been dangerous coming in and out of your property. I don't do that anymore.
The last 2
Yeah.
weeks, we've had 5 accidents.
There needs to be a light somewhere down there, no question about it. It's difficult to make a left-hand turn out of your driveway. And
I figured before you both go away, I gotta ask the last time.
well, no problem. It took us 25 years to get the light at the intersection of Willow Pond Way and 441. It took us 25 years to do that.
She died trying.
I hope that's not the case. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, we'll all live to see it. Thank you all very much. We appreciate your support. I'm going to let the supervisor say his goodbyes.
Right, thank you. I just want to take a minute and say that it has been our honor to work with the Penfield Business Chamber and the current leadership under Amy. You know, it really is a partnership. When we these things in the community, you have to come together. You get more done. I like your idea, Amy, of more community. That really is key. I think that's one of the things that Penfield is noted for, working together, whether that be service organizations, businesses, government, our schools. That really is key. And I just want to say on behalf of the town, thank you very much. We've got a great relationship. I know that's going to continue under the leadership of Marie Cinti when she comes in, and a person to be named at a later date to replace Mr. Costello. But again, on behalf of both Jim and I and our town board, thank you. You guys are a special group. Keep up the great work. And I see bigger and better things happening with this group. So thank you very much. It's been our honor.
I just want to say, on behalf of businesses, we would like to thank Tony and Jim for everything they've done for all of us. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Missing my pointer for some reason. I don't have to it. There it is.
All right. Well, thank you, Tony and Jim. We really appreciate all that you've done for us over the years. I know myself, I've only been involved a few years, but it's a great collaboration and partnership, as you said. So with that, I would like to thank everyone who brought donations for the food cupboard. We're actually going to be delivering them after this meeting. I know they're going to be very appreciative of it. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. Does anyone have any other final questions before we break for today? All right, well, thank you so much for coming.